Good evening, I'm Dave Tucker, and this is White Noise. My guest tonight, the author of a controversial New York Times bestseller that's got some people shaking their heads yes, and some no. The book, The Race Issue, A Capitalist's Guide to Racial Equality and Economic Prosperity in a Post-Racial America. Please welcome to the show, Stacey Elizabeth Newberry Addington.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. It's a pleasure.
Great to have you, Stacey. This book is generating a lot of press for you, some good, some bad. Did you expect the book to blow up like this?
Well, as when anyone puts pen to paper, I was hoping to reach people. And in a way, I really have, but I wasn't really expecting this amount of backlash. I don't think I wrote anything that controversial. I simply relayed facts of the modern world as I see them. And the people who I hoped to help the most are actually the people who have become the most offended, which really is just a testament to one of the main points of my book.
Okay, we're going to hear more about this. We do have another guest that I'd like to introduce now, though. She's an economic journalist who's written for the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and has been published in several economic journals. She was recently awarded an NAACP Image Award for autobiography, Fighting for My Voice. And she's been a very vocal critic of your book. Joining us now from her office in Manhattan, please welcome Stephanie Johnson. Stephanie, you there? Stephanie, you there? Looks like we're having some technical difficulties with Stephanie's connection. Hopefully we'll get her back soon. I guess let's talk about the book a little bit.
Okay, I'd love to.
So, give us a quick overview, a blurb. What's the book about?
Well, it's actually a really simple premise. African Americans have never had it as easy in America as they do today. From affirmative action to celebrities slapping everyone in the face over and over again with political correctness. African American stock is the highest it's ever been, with a strong and stable middle class, and more affluence than ever before. And still, every day, you hear someone complaining about discrimination this or microaggression that, anything to blame for things not going their way. And I got sick of hearing it, so I wrote a book.
In your book, you call capitalism the great racial equalizer, arguing that with more economic mobility, an individual can, and I'm quoting here, escape the self-inflicted ghetto of the soul and pull oneself up by the bootstraps higher than any crack pipe or gangbanging ever could.
Yes, very proud of that line. It's a problem I see all the time in Black communities, the self-perpetuated cycle of poverty.
You see a lot. So you went to these communities while writing your book. You talked to them, asked them questions, saw how the system may have been failing them?
Well, no. No. I mean, can you imagine me walking through the inner city streets of Detroit? No. But I did do my research. I'm not going to put myself into harm's way just to prove what I already know. Race is only as big of an issue as you yourself make it.
So if you didn't talk to the people that you're talking about, where did you get the statistics you put in your book? There's a section that's actually called Black on Black, African American Issues Presented by Real African Americans, where you say that when asked what is the biggest barrier for African Americans who want to go to college, 62% of those polled answered lack of motivation for self-improvement.
That's right.
25% said they just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
And 12% said financial reasons, 8% just said other.
Yes.
And as I'm looking at that, now those numbers don't even add up. It comes up to, 107, which is a statistical impossibility. So what happened there? Where did you get those responses? Where did you get those numbers?
Well, Dave, I don't just have a Black friend. I have several. So I know so many Black people on such a personal level that maybe these relationships interfered with the math a little bit. But I am confident that my statistics speak to the greater truths of the Black experience.
And these friends are part of this lower income demographic that you talk about in the book, right?
No, friends from Yale mostly, but believe me, I do know what I'm talking about in my book.
So you're arguing that poverty, drug addiction, gang violence, all these things could be ended if what exactly happened?
If people really embraced the reality of the American dream as much as they clung to these crazy notions that they aren't responsible for their own actions, if they stopped believing in this omnipotent cosmic force that they call racism and accepted that life is hard for everyone, I think it's just important in today's world to remember that everybody has problems. All lives matter, not just some.
So you believe racism and discrimination are a thing of the past?
Yes, I do. Something you see on documentaries, not in real life. Everyone's on pretty equal footing now. If anyone's actually being discriminated against, it's white people. Racism may be dead in the water, but reverse racism is alive and well.
Are we getting Stephanie back? Stephanie, you there? Do you have anything you'd like to add?
If she were here in this conversation, she would agree with me.
Well, actually, in an article she wrote criticizing your book, she said that you were missing a lot of the important pieces to America's racial puzzle, that you didn't seem to understand how a system of government and economy controlled dominantly by white society could cripple economic growth for black communities all over the states for decades. She references data from a 2011 census report that showed that median income for white households was 72% higher than the median income for black households, which is actually an increase in income disparity compared to 1967 during the Civil Rights Movement, when the median was 43%.
I don't think those numbers are accurate at all.
But it's the United States Census.
I mean, think about it, Dave. Who was the president when this data was collected?
Barack Obama.
Exactly. Those numbers were likely manipulated to appeal to a voting demographic.
You're saying that President Barack Obama manipulated census data to appeal to a voting demographic?
I'm just saying it makes a lot of sense. I mean, hey, I voted for the guy. I voted for him twice. And he was black enough to fix America's racial wounds if only black Americans would let him. Yes, we could have. But maybe they don't want it as much as they always claim. Dave, we're talking a lot about the criticism of my book, but maybe we could switch it up a little. Not everyone hated it.
Yeah, of course. You aren't a New York Times bestseller for nothing. Your book has been endorsed by Iowa Congressman Steve King as being a great and urgent work for our time. The National Policy Institute Book Review gave your book 2 thumbs up, calling it a must-read for Americans who have a thirst for truth. And of course, Breitbart News is making you their Author of the Year, correct?
Yes, correct. It's quite an honor.
Oh, hold on a moment. I think we're getting Stephanie back. I think she probably has more than a few things to say about all this. Unfortunately, we're out of time. What a shame. Thanks to my guest, Stacey Elizabeth Newberry Addington.
Yes, thank you for having me.
See y'all next week. Good night.